Thanks for joining me, everyone. Today, I'm excited to be able to share a little bit about some of the thoughts that I have about meditation. I've been meditating for several years at this point, and ch- uh, I, my experience has changed significantly during that time. When I was relatively inexperienced, I thought that meditation was simply like a break from the rest of your day. It was almost something to look at as far as a way to kind of like de-stress for a little bit, which is great. And I think there's benefits even viewing it that way. But I view meditation very differently now, where I view it in the sense of it being practice. It's very similar. Well, here's a good quote from Dr. Judson Brewer. He's a neuroscientist, psychiatrist, um, and he's done research and innovation at the Mindfulness Center at Brown University. Um, there's a quote from him. He said, "Meditation trains your attention and awareness, just like lifting weights trains your muscles." And I love that quote because it I remember hearing people explain meditation in this way in the beginning, and I didn't quite understand it. And now, after several years of practicing, it makes so much more sense to me. I have a pretty good habit of going to the gym 4 to 5 days per week, and I I have seen that and how that has become just a part of my routine and helps me feel physically fit and deal with a lot of other things in life. And meditation is very similar. It's a practice. The same way that you practice anything else. Like let's think, the simplest example is a bicycle. When you're learning to ride a bike, you start out usually at the very young age on like a tricycle, right? Something where you don't have to balance at all. You just have to get the idea of sitting and pedaling and understanding like how that works. And even that in and of itself, when you begin, is pretty challenging, right? Like you watch kids struggle to get the motions of pedaling with their feet, and how to coordinate their feet together, and that's pretty tough. Once they get that down, you put them on two wheels, and maybe it's a balance bike, or maybe it's something with training wheels. But either way, it's kind of like the next step up, when they've become comfortable on the previous step, and eventually you get on two wheels and you can balance, and you can keep going. I view a sport, learning a sport, very similar, and meditation as well. Meditation is a way to learn the skills and the practice of your mind, and it starts out in the most easy format as possible. So pretty much any like meditation, in the beginning, you're going to be in a situation where a lot of times your eyes are closed, you're sitting relatively comfortable position, and no noise around you. It's a very controlled environment, right? And that's kind of what the attempt is. Keep it as controlled as possible to make it as easy as possible. Once you can get a little bit good at that, eventually, maybe you can meditate and have your eyes open. Maybe you can meditate even in a public place. Maybe you can do it then when you're walking, and then eventually during different times of your just routine day. We apply. It's relatively common for us to view physical skills, sports, or manual dexterity, certain things with with muscle memory, with this idea of practice. But yet, for whatever reason, we don't inherently or as naturally view our minds in the same way. And I think it's very valuable to kind of switch, and that is the one of the greatest things that I've learned and kind of developed over time. It's just viewing meditation as practice. It's a daily practice, it's a daily investment for me to continue to grow. Some of the ways that I have practiced it: prayer. I think an interesting way that, if you pray, to do this is to spend some time during prayer in sharing thoughts, whatever that looks like for you, and then asking questions, and then just allowing for a pause and silence, and just listen. Just listen to what comes to you, whether you believe that that comes from, a specific higher power, or just from your inner being, or whatever that is for you. But just allowing for some silence to be there can open you up to some new thoughts and ideas. I've used Headspace app for a period of time, and I enjoyed that. But for the last year and a half, I have been using Waking Up app by Sam Harris, and it's my favorite. I feel like it is the most similar to when I'm talking about this process of scaling, starting at the easiest and then a little bit more difficult over time. I feel like that app is set up in that way to make that as easy as possible. So I really, really enjoy that. And you can choose, there's a lot of different things, but there's just a daily meditation that's like 10 minutes, or you can lengthen the time if you want to. A few things to share of like what I've learned through the process. Number one, I've talked about this idea Shoshin. In Zen Buddhism, there's this idea called Shoshin, which basically means the beginner's mind. There is a quote by Suzuki, who was a Zen Buddhist monk. He helped popularize Zen Buddhism in the United States in the 60s. He's got a really good book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. And his quote is: "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few." And this has played out in my experience with meditation, in the sense that I have when I start to feel experienced and I start to feel pretty good about my ability to meditate, sometimes I go into those meditation sessions feeling like, "Oh, I've got this. I know how to do this. I can shortcut, I can, whatever." And sometimes those can be some of the more frustrating experiences. And when I learn to have the beginner's mind, and to have kind of like no expectation, to show up and to think, "Okay, how do I pay attention? How do I experience this as if I never have before?" And I just love that way of life. It just allows you to keep huge opportunities open as far as what you can learn. The next idea that has really come to me is that when you take the time to kind of step away from everything and allow things to be quiet, there is a peace that is there. And what I've realized through practice, which is different than just conceptually understanding it, but actually experiencing it, that this peace is always available to us. Right? It's not like it's only available during quiet moments, during those times when everything is just right. The stars align. It's just a nice moment. The peace is always available to us, but we allow ourselves to get distracted by day to day things. And this this practice of meditation helps us learn that that is always available, and we can call upon it at any point that we're willing to. And again, scaling practice in a very quiet, easy situation. Draw upon it. Throughout the day, and then over time, you begin to kind of meditate in maybe more challenging circumstances, and eventually, it can become a little bit more of a fluid state of mind that you can experience throughout the day. So for me, some of the benefits that I wanted to share. I mean, when I am in a good habit of meditating, I'm definitely more calm throughout the day. It helps me to kind of set the stage, helps me to set a foundation. There's certain realizations that I'll have during that session that can carry throughout my thoughts during the day. I have also become better at putting things aside mentally when I go to bed, realizing that if I continue to think about something and stress about it, it's not going to help make progress. Interestingly, to go along with that, there's a study in JAMA Internal Medicine in 2015 on mindfulness and sleep. This was a randomized clinical trial. It involved adults with moderate sleep disturbances, and the participants were split up into two different groups. One group had training on mindfulness, and maybe some sessions, and then the other group underwent sleep hygiene education. So basically, like teaching them about sleep, why it's important, how to get good sleep. And interestingly, the mindfulness group experienced greater improvement in sleep quality, reduced insomnia symptoms, and less daytime fatigue. So that's very interesting to me, and I think all of us hopefully are aware of the power of sleep when it comes to mental function. And it's likely that many of you listening to this are maybe feeling turbulence in your life as far as how to deal with beliefs, transitioning some of those beliefs, and having good sleep is something that is going to contribute to better relationships with your family members, you being able to process thoughts in a more methodical way, being a little bit more calm. And meditation, in my opinion, has probably been one of the greatest contributors to my growth as an individual in the last few years of my life, because of the process that it's taught me. So I would encourage you. I have a few ideas for how you can kind of get started. One is, like I told you about those two apps, Headspace, Waking Up. You can also, just get on YouTube and Google, guided meditation. There's different ones that you can try. Just start out. Another idea is even just to spend some time. You can basically sit somewhere, close your eyes, and you can focus on your breath. You can count the breath in, out, one, in, out, two. You can basically do that. And it's most people are not able to get to the number 25 before they feel their mind start to drift. So if you start having thoughts of something from the day, or something that's on your mind for tomorrow, or something that comes up, recognize that you were kind of pulled away. Don't feel bad about it. And then just start over. Just start out. In, out, one. You know, so that's a very good practice. Set the timer on your phone for 5 minutes or however long you have to do that. Another very simple option is to sit somewhere, and you can have your eyes open and you can kind of stare at something that's around you. It could be the sky, it could be trees, it could be a picture on the wall, it could be any of those things. Focus on that, look at that, and just focus on just your direct surroundings. What does it feel like to be in the room? And as soon as you find yourself again be beginning to be kind of pulled away from a thought, from something else, an interaction from the day, or something that you're worried about, anytime you find that, just recognize it, focus back on that object, or something in your room, something that you can feel, smell. Focus on just your immediate surroundings, and just that practice is over time going to help you to become more focused on what is directly in front of you. And there are other studies as well that show actual physiological changes in the brain, based on the amount of meditation and the ability of individuals that practice mindfulness to be able to focus on tasks at hand and not get distracted. And that also involves being present with your family, whether it's your spouse, your kids, family, your coworkers. Instead of being in that kind of busy mind state where there's a lot of other things going on, you're able to kind of just be present with whatever is there, and it's a much more peaceful way of living. All of us know what that feels like, to be inundated by so many different thoughts, and stimuli coming at us from kind of all different angles. So my challenge to you is to either start practicing, figure out the easiest solution as far as a way that you can start practicing, or if you're already in the habit of meditating, think of how can you continue to grow or improve. So thank you for taking the time to listen. Thank you for the time that you're taking to invest in yourself and improve things. There's not many better ways as far as ROI in life, and I wish you the best in your journey.